Hi everyone, welcome to YarnAdelaide Knits podcast or diary entry. My name's Nicole. I'm coming to you from the northeastern suburbs of Adelaide in South Australia, Australia. A podcast about mostly knitting, my little yarny business Colagirl Collective, and what I've been up to in my knitting community, my knitting fibre crafty goodness community. It's been a little while. Haven't spoken to you guys since I think a couple of weeks before Fibre Feast, which was on the 24th of March. So a slight recap, even though it's quite delayed. It's been about 6 weeks. Which was awesome. So yeah, just a side note. Thanks for everybody who came and saw and conquered and bought yarn. Today I've got some WIPs, finished objects, and a very small shop update. So yeah, a little bit all knitting today and a little bit of crochet. Oh, and some purchases that I made at Fibre Feast as well. So to start with, let's go for my finished objects. First one is the Impressionist shawl, which was a mystery knit along, which I think has been over finished for a couple of weeks now, so I don't think that there's any spoilers at the moment. But if you're still making yours and you don't know what any clue of finished objects, although there has been quite a few about, and yes, being that it's finished, I don't think you'll mind seeing my impression of the shawl, which is this one here. And it smells like perfume because I wore it on the weekend. And isn't it awesome that here in Adelaide we've finally got winter and cool weather, hence I'm wearing my boxy, which I made last year. In, what colour did I use? It's called Something More, which was a variation on Vampire Apocalypse. It's not as red, or it's a different version of red, should I say, with some black in it as well, kind of my sort of colours. So yarns I use, this is the Impressionist shawl by Helen Stewart, also known as Curious Handmade. It's a crescent shaped shawl that's got a quite wide reach. It was done over 4 or 5 weeks. I think it was only 4, or was it 5? Where you got, I'm thinking it must have been done over 5, because you got 20% of the project each week. And yeah, so you didn't know what you were making, you just had to follow the directions, which I can trust Helen. I like Helen's design aesthetic, so signing up for her mystery knit along was quite effortless and not concerning, because you can well, in my opinion, you can trust on what she's going to deliver, which is the lovely romantic whimsical shawl with a little bit of lace, lots of garter, easy with a little bit of lace to challenge you, but not challenge you too hard, if that makes sense. So the yarns I used, I did a bit of a collaboration of my yarn and Mia from Ren and Ollie's yarn, which I got at Fibre Feast. So the top grey speckledy one is my yarn. It's called, the colour is called 90s Megamix, which it's got, I wanted to call it sort of hyper colour or something like that, because it had all the different speckles of pinks and blues and yellows and what have you, kind of like how the washed out hyper colour t-shirts used to get. And then the purple and green. The purple, which is mostly in this one here, is Ran & Ollie's Velvet Cloak, which is a new colourway of hers. I'm not sure whether she's released it online yet, but I know it was available at Fibre Feast because that's where I purchased it. And then the green down the bottom is called Olive Grove, which is one of my newer wintry colourways, which I really like, and I was glad that I was able to put them together, because when I bought the Velvet Cloak from Ran & Ollie, I saw that it had the olive green through it as well, and going, yep, I like that. That can go with my Olive Grove because I'm looking for something to do it with. So yeah, I'm really happy with it, and to the point where I bought myself a khaki green top to wear with it, like a 3/4 length sleeve top that will go nicely accessorised with it through winter. That's that one. That's one finished object. It's only 2 finished objects that I've had done since I last spoke to you. Seems a bit lackluster. And I finally finished my starting point shawl. I think just after Fibre Feast I got a little overwhelmed with all my WIPs, and I felt the need for accomplishment with having to finish things, because there was more things that I wanted to cast on, and I was trying to restrict myself from not casting on too much more because I've got enough works in progress. Yeah, so I stopped myself from casting on more unless I finished something. So yeah, and being that I only had, I think it was a little bit of one side of this and the other side to do of it, it was only like 2 nights, 2 days worth of knitting to do before I finished it. So this is the Starting Point shawl by Hohi Locatelli, which was a mystery knit along early last year. I didn't buy it as a mystery knit along, but after seeing it, I loved the design and the construction of it, that I thought, well, yes, I very much have to purchase this. I purchased the Fading Point. I haven't cast that on yet, but I haven't even got the yarn for it. I kind of know what colours I want to do. I'm really trying to do, rather than colours that I like, more colours that will go with my wardrobe. And I'm thinking, I've got lots of pinks, I've done purples and greens. There's sort of the wintry black grey colour, blacks into greys with a pop of colour, that I'm thinking of doing for the Fading Point, but I'm yet to die. Although I will show you one colour that I'm seriously considering being part of the start of the Fading Point, when I show you a bit of a small shop update later. So back to this. The yarns I used 2 of my yarns, 2 of Ran & Ollie yarns, and 1 blacker yarns. So I'll start off with my 2 yarns. Okay, let's start off here. You can see it. So the pink is my yarn in the colourway It's a Girl, which is very similar to Blossom. And the grey is my yarn. Again, that's on the Sustainable Merino, the little Outback, the 4-ply, is Thumper. The purpley pink is Ran & Ollie, I think it's Ollie Sock, in the Juniper colourway. And then the speckle is Ran & Ollie again in the Crush colourway on her Ollie Sock. And the nice deep green is the Blacker Yarns Tamar in the, I think it's Withy Brook. I've got 2 colours, which is a sort of a greeny grey, and the one's Withy Brook and one's I can't remember. So yeah, I'm really happy with the colours that I chose, and that was like me going through a purpley pink phase last year when I did my Stephen West, which one was that? Was called Exploration Station, which had the reds and the pinks and the browns, where this one's got more purple, pinks, greys and a pop of green. So yeah, it's quite warm, this one. I've worn it a couple of times as well, but it hasn't quite been cold enough for it because it's quite thick, and I sort of just wear it wrapped around twice as a scarf rather than over the shoulders as a shawl to football. And because it's quite wide, it's quite thick and chunky, so in the middle of winter when it's really cold and I'm out watching Elijah play football, they will come in handy. And I think that's another reason why I wanted to get it finished, because I knew it was going to be, I wanted it to be shawl weather again. So they're my two finished objects. I've got almost another two finished objects, but they're for Mother's Day presents, so I suppose I'll show you my WIPs as well now. So this is a pair of socks for my mum for Mother's Day, which are a pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks. Probably doesn't show you very well the colour. It does show you the stripes quite well, but it's a really nice deep plum, gentle striping with a bit of sparkle in it. Sparkle comes up well. Yeah, they're Hermione's Everyday Socks. I've just got to graft the toe of that one. I've actually got to graft the toe of both of them. So they're pretty much done. The yarn is, I can't think of it, and it's a single ply yarn, and the colour and the sparkle got me to buy it, but I really didn't like working with it because it's a single ply and it's a dark yarn, so yeah, I found it quite annoying to work with because it'd be quite splitty. But I got there. I'm not a huge fan of single ply yarn, especially for sock yarn. I don't know what it is about this, but it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't rock my socks, and I can't remember what it's called. I threw the tag out. So they're almost done for Mum. She came over on Tuesday. And I said, oh, they're almost finished because I won't see her on Sunday, but she's coming back next Tuesday. So I said, I promise I'll have them finished then. So other pair of socks I've got for my mother-in-law. And again, I've got one finished and one almost finished. And these are the vanilla is the new black socks with the different kind of heel, which is this one here. So it's got that heel there. So there's no heel flap, and there's not much of a gusset. So yeah, I was thinking these might be good for myself, being that yeah, you don't end up holding any stitches and working back and forth. You end up adding stitches and still working in the round. So these will be for my mother-in-law. The yarn is skein yarns that I got in a swap from Wool Swap last year. Was it Wool Swap? Or was it Fibre Feast? I'm pretty sure it was Wool Swap. And it's skein yarns. I can't remember what the colour's called either, because I've lost that too. But I have a feeling it's called Australis. But don't quote me on it. I really like the heel construction, and I bought the pattern probably 12 months ago, so I'm halfway through the second one as well. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to dye up some self-striping socks in the crow's colours for my mother-in-law for Mother's Day, but I kept putting it off and kept putting it off, and knowing whoever, if you dye self-striping yarn, you'll understand that it's a bit of a process to get it to the yarn to use phase. So I did cast these on with the intention to probably give to one of the kids. I think Elijah was going to get them, and I kept looking at them going, they're pretty much like crow's colours. They're like crow's colours. So I thought, no, mother-in-law can have them for Mother's Day as well. So yeah, they're an interpretation of the crow's colours, being the blue, the red and the gold. So yeah, so I should have them finished by Sunday, because I'll see her on Sunday, I think. Being that we've got football on Sunday in the middle of the day, we'll see what we can, how the day pans out. Okay, so what else I have been working on, I'll show you the twigs. This is the twigs by Junko Akamoto, which is that jumper. The photos don't really do it justice, but it's a lot of colour work, and it's a whole, not just a yoke of colour work, it's the whole jumper. And this is a commission knit for someone that I met through the guild that knits herself, but she doesn't have the confidence, I guess, to knit something like this for herself. So this is where I'm up to. It's very slow going, and I'm up to, I think, this part here, so, which is a lot. It's a big chart that it's, I think it's what, 19 or 20 rows over 80 stitches. So it's a bit of a process. Like these little bits here, like that, that's easy because it's 2 by 2 by 2. So you can sort of swim through those. This one, you're constantly, the graph that I'm doing now, you're constantly looking at the pattern to know where you're up to. The yarn that I'm using is, I haven't used this before, it's called Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. Now this is, what's it called? It's European, but I can't remember where exactly it's from. Sarah, who I'm knitting it for, bought the yarn from New Zealand because she saw the pattern last year, because this pattern I think is done in 2-ply or 4-ply, but a girl, the owner of Eden and Co, I think it's called. Let me have a look, see whether I can find it on, I follow them on Instagram, see if I can find them. Edie and Co, and they're based in Cambridge in New Zealand. So I'll see if I can find her picture. So the jumper is done, let's see that. Can you see that? There we go. The jumper is done in a 2-ply or a 4-ply. But Sarah really admired the one that the owner from Edie and Co had done, and it was done in 10-ply, 8 to 10-ply. She wanted a big boyfriend style, big chunky jumper to wrap herself up in winter. And yeah, and so yeah, she got those They're the three colours that I'm using. It's a cream, a taupe and a brown. I'm enjoying doing that. And so yeah, so she did give her info on her project page on Ravelry that she used larger needles to give a larger size. So I'm even tempted, if it's big enough and it fits me with the larger size needles and yarn, I might even make myself one day. Maybe. See if I still feel enthused after doing it. I don't know. I haven't. There's not many things that I've knitted multiple things of the same thing, especially garments, although I have knitted, I think I've knitted about 3 various sizes of the sunny side cardigan. I did knit a boxy for myself and a boxy for Scarlett, so that's in 2 different sizes. But I don't know, big projects like that, once you've gone through the whole journey of doing it all over again, I don't know whether that would feel as exciting. But who knows how I'll feel after I finished it. Although with the cast on, was a new cast on for me too. I think it was a provisional and something else cast on, which I've done a provisional cast on before with one of Hohi's designs. I can't remember which one it was, but this had, there was 2 cast-ons in one, and I can't think of it. I didn't really prepare myself to tell you that. Another thing that I have been working on is my Sunset Highway, although I'm almost at the point where I need to start doing the high-low short row shaping for it, and I need to try this on again to see whether I'm at the place where I want to start doing the short rows, because I know I want it. It's a little bit, probably a couple of inches longer than what it says in the pattern, because obviously I want it bigger, and yeah, but I just not 100% sure whether I want it, much longer I want it. So yeah, these are all done in my Swagman base. The black is Blackety Black, the red is Vampire Apocalypse, the gold mustard yellow is Lionheart, and the brown speckles is Spice Chai. So yeah, I'm really liking that. And some news to tell you, I'm going to Bendigo Sheep and Wool show in July. I'm really excited, so I might wear this if I finish it, but being that it's only 4-ply and how cold everybody says it gets in Bendigo, I'm wondering whether this might not be warm enough. So I've got something to show you a little bit later that I'm about to cast on that I think will be a beautiful piece to wear around Bendigo if it's going to be really, really cold. So yes, I haven't got too much to go with the Sunset Highway, but it hasn't been taking precedent to do it. Yeah, probably because I'm continental knitting that one as well, and continental knitting is the first time I've done it. Being that was my first proper colour work project I've done. Sorry about that noise. It's Thursday. It's rubbish day. Which reminds me, it's my sister's birthday today, being the 10th of May. I need to send her a message and wish her happy birthday. So yeah, being that I'm doing that in continental, it's not something that I go to. Yeah, I'm happy that I've stuck with something doing continental, but I don't think continental knitting is for me. But being that I was doing it when I do the the colour work part of it, I have one colour in one hand and one colour in the other. So yeah, that's why I kept doing the Continental in the main colour, because I was already using both hands. So yeah. So next thing I'm works in progress is the Tansy Shawl by Jessica Gore, sorry, which is the Sweater Collective. She's a local Adelaide girl. And this was a test knit, but I let her down being a test knitter by not finishing it. And yeah, she asked me to do it. I sort of resisted, and I thought, well, I really don't need any more cast-ons, but if you really need someone to help you out, I'll do it. And it's a nice shawl, but I didn't have my head in the right space for it, and I've run out of the beige coloured yarn, so I went stash diving for it. I thought I had enough, but I've got one more panel to do, so I found some contrasting colour, which was I think it's No Makers. There's a Christmas colourway from a couple of years ago that I got in a swap from Tamara. So it's being used, Tam. Yeah, which I thought would go quite nicely, because then it has I suppose it's lace. It's kind of a variation. You probably can't see it very well being that it's cream. It's a bit of a variation of Feather and Fan for the bottom part. Being that it's asymmetrical, it gradually gets wider at one end. But yeah, it's almost done. But I think that's going to take the back burner for a little bit, because I have a few other projects that need to get finished. It's another one that needs to come out and get done, because it's going to be a Bendigo jumper. And being that when we go to Bendigo, it's just going to be me and my husband. My mum's coming down here to stay for a couple of days and look after the kids. It will be I think it works out that it's going to be the last weekend of the July school holidays for South Australia, which is good for mum, so she doesn't have to take Elijah to football on the Sunday or anything, so they can probably just stay indoors the whole weekend and watch movies and have the fire going, because I'm sure it's going to be freezing cold. So, now what's this called? It's called the Nelson Pullover, which is from an interweave. I think that's the back. So, there's a top down, a saddle shoulder top down, and yeah, I got to here, and then I realised that the amount of row repeats before the cables was varying a little with what I was doing. And yeah, so it got put in the naughty corner, because I knew I'd had to pull it out. And being that it's all got short row shaping for the top down of the arms, it was all, I just wanted to put it in the naughty corner for a bit of a timeout until I'm ready to wrap my head around it again. So I think I have to put, where you can see like that one there is a lot longer than the one either side of it. And I think that's where I have to pull it back to. And I can't, yeah, I'll show my mum on Tuesday that I'll have to pull it back. She goes, no, you don't have to. Is it really that bad? And it's like, yeah, I notice it. I can't live with it. Especially when the other side is going to have the same amount of cables, or if it's correct on one side and not correct on other, it's going to vary in a few rows with when you start the cuff. So if I just pull it back to there, I'll be right. There's not too much more of that to do. This would be a jumper for Justin to wear. It is a possum merino that my mother-in-law came back from New Zealand with about 10 years ago. It was I initially cast it on for him, being that he works at the produce markets in Adelaide, and he starts work at 1 o'clock in the morning most days, it would be a perfect jumper for the middle of winter for him to wear over his coat for a bit of warmth, because he does complain every morning when he comes home on how cold it was at market. So hopefully that, and knowing possum is a bit more warmer, it's kind of like has the similar warmth to alpaca and the warmer, longer fibres, and it's soft. Possums, I'm not a huge fan of possum yarn, but I think it has its purpose in that regard. So yeah, that's been living in one of my large drawstring bags that I made, which I think I need to be making some more larger bags. So yeah, I need to get that out and start that. We'll keep going with it. There's not too much to go, and there's, what is it? It's the 10th of May today. There's about 6 weeks. May 10th of June. Well, I've got 6-7 weeks until Bendigo, so hopefully I'll be able to get these 2 things done. Because what I want to cast on for myself is something from Capsule by Michelle Wang. Brooklyn tweed. And this was something that I'd liked and admired, but I didn't think it was really practical enough. But I think for Bendigo it will be perfect. So I want to do I think it's called Aspen, which is a long coat. I'm not going to make it that long. So it said it wanted, I think it worked out that it almost wanted 3 kilos of yarn. No. Let me have a look. Aspen. In the size, I don't know. Wants 23 50-gram balls of Brooklyn tweed shelter. So it's well over a kilo. Well over a kilo of yarn, which I'm sort of in a conundrum with, because it's going to be heavy, and I'm doing it in a new base that I have just got in, which will be Dapper's big brother, which is the 8-ply Donegal Nebs. So this is the colourway that I've dyed up for it. It is a nice dark burgundy colour with a blush of pink and splotches of a little bit of red in there. Not consistently, it's only a very, very small amount. I didn't want it to bombard because I still wanted the darkness of the burgundy to be sort of paramount through it. It just has a little bits of blush pink through there as well. So I don't know whether I'll call this Bendigo blush or have its own colourway name. So yeah, so this is 8-ply. The garment is done in a 10-ply. I have done a swatch. In the needle sizes it says, I'm sort of in 2 minds. I've done it in the needle sizes it says, and then I've done it in the needle size that it's gone down 1 needle size, and they both are pretty much in the ballpark of a gauge. One's, what was it? I did write it down. I think one's slightly more and one's slightly less. So I'm in 2 minds as to which way I go about it for the fabric, and being that it's naturally going to be a heavy garment, whether I do the needle size down to help keep its plumpness, rather than if I go a needle size up, or the needle size that it requires, it's going to leave a slightly looser fabric, and therefore it's going to hang and probably fall out of shape. And being that it's going to be a long and heavy garment, especially with cables and that as well, if I do the smaller needle size, whether it will help maintain its shape. So I'm just wondering which way I'm going to go. I'm still pondering that, so I haven't cast it on yet. But also in saying that, cables do tend to pull in work, so being on larger needles for cables, because it's kind of like it pulls in the fabric, so having it slightly looser with all the cables will be better for the cables. But then in saying that, it is a DK weight, which is, traditionally you use 4mm needles on a DK, where this, to get gauge for the jumper, is on larger size needles than that anyway. So either way, I don't think it's going to matter too much. And it naturally has about a 7-inch positive ease for the garment as well, so I don't think that's going to matter too much either, because I don't want it on a smaller framed person. Having that much positive ease is fine, but there's a fine line for it to be on a larger sized person, also known as myself. Having too much fabric around yourself kind of ends up being moo-moo-like, and there's no shape to it. So I'm trying to find the balance between those two as well. But I'm really happy, and it's all being housed in my new Mo and My bag from Peter, who's the creator at Mo and My. She's on Etsy. So yeah, nice big bag with the gorgeous little slots on there. So she's got some pockets at the front there, which I really liked. And there's some more pockets on the inside. Pocketses on the inside there as well. Some more pockets in there. So that's good. Now this is holding 8 of the skeins that I've dyed up so far, and yeah, so thank you, Peter. Nice to have somebody else make a bag. Now, I think that's about everything that I had to show you in my work in progress and my finished objects. Let me grab my coffee. So, let's talk about Fibre Feast. It was such an awesome day. Thanks so much for everybody that came by and purchased from Colagirl Collective. Thanks for everybody who showed up as one of the coordinators for it. It was our very first event. We had a few hiccups, and the weather wasn't our friend. It was hot in the day, and the hall that we hired, the ventilation wasn't the best, but it was amazing the turnout that we got. We were expecting, 300 or 400 people come through the doors. Being, there's never going to be the perfect location for anybody. It was in Blackwood this year, which was sort of southeast of the city. And slightly in the hills, so it's not everybody's cup of tea or as easily accessible. I don't even think if you had it in the middle of Adelaide, it'll be easily accessible for everybody, for all Adelaide people. But, you can't please everybody. Anyway, we're expecting maybe 300-400 people. Didn't expect the almost 1,000 people that came through the doors. In Adelaide, we have a pretty good crafting, fibre knitting community. having gone to many public knitting groups and belonged to the guild and what have you, I thought I knew a fair few of the people around Adelaide, or have known of them. There was many people that I haven't seen or heard of or met before, and yeah, I was ever grateful to meet them. I had many people come by and say, "I watch your podcast," which I was really surprised at and really thankful for. So thanks for coming by and saying hi. That was great. Made my day. Yeah, which was really good, because I know I don't have many subscribers, and I like this as a kind of a diary entry for myself, another forum to keep track of what I'm doing, and verbalizing a lot of it kind of holds me to account too, in my own way. Yeah, so that was really nice. Yeah, it was the weather wasn't kind for me, so the idea of having my Sunset Highway finished for it was pointless, because I wouldn't have been able to wear it anyway, hence why it's still on the needles. Yeah. I'm glad I dyed a lot. I ended up taking probably, I think, 200 and something skeins, and I sold well over 100 of them, which was awesome. Sold a lot of my fibre that I'd been dyeing up as well, a few of my bags, and sold a few of my stitch markers too, which was awesome.Ung my feet ached that evening from standing up all day, and having my two sons came and hung out with me all day, because they were helping set up and pack away and putting tables away and that at the end of the day, which was great. They got a bit bored, but they got paid. They got paid by me. I sort of made enough money that day that I could afford to pay them, and they were grateful for it. So I had another market last weekend as well, and my eldest said, "Do you want me to help you again?" "I don't need you to help me, sweetie. This is just a craft market. It's not a Fibre Feast." But yeah, we are planning next year's Fibre Feast, so stay tuned for a date. It'll be roughly around the same time as what this year's one, but it will be in a different location. We've listened to the constructive criticism that we got, which was people wanted a bigger venue. People wanted a bigger venue because they felt that it was crowded. If you came at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it wasn't crowded. But anyway, yeah, we didn't, and that's all due to that we didn't expect the numbers that we got through the door. So, and being that myself and Charmaine live on the northern side of town, and Yasmin lives on the southeastern side of town, we thought that we will be looking for somewhere in our Teacher Gully Council area, where Charmaine and myself reside. I have been looking, and yeah, I'll keep you tuned on what's happening. So there is still works in progress of next year's Fibre Feast. So yes, it will be something, and we did put the call out to how often people wanted to see it, and the general consensus was yearly. So we're planning for next year's. Yeah, thanks for everybody that did come along. Truly appreciate it. Yep, yeah, and everybody was saying Adelaide needed something. So hopefully next year we'll have a few more vendors, and we might even have some interstaters wanting to make the pilgrimage, being that it'll be a yearly event. And yeah, I told you I was going to Bendigo, which I'm excited. Booked my accommodation. We'll probably travel over on the Friday and go to the Sheep and Wool show on the Saturday, and then come home on the Sunday. So it'll be a bit of a whirlwind event, whirlwind tour for us to Bendigo. Yeah, I can't wait to go. I'll be on the lookout for a, I don't think I'll be there, well, who knows. I'm more going there looking for tools rather than yarn, because I tend to, most of the days I'm using my own yarn. Which reminds me, I didn't show you what I bought at Fibre Feast. I have to go get it. So this is the other colour that I got from YarnAdelaide at Fibre Feast. What colour is it called? It's called Gingerbread. And it was going to go with my Impressionist cow shawl. But it wasn't contrasting enough. So it got put by the wayside. It'll get used for something else. I got 2 skeins from Monica at Fibre Feast, which is Ash and Oak. So I got Fallen Rose and Speckled Egg. Those gentle speckles of brown. So it kind of looks like a quail's egg, having that brown speckle over it. So I've got 2 skeins of that, and then I've got 2 skeins from Squiggle Co. Although the way that she's put on there of what yarn weight they were is not what I wanted them for. So what did I get? I got Bloom with Gore and Kathleen. Now I wanted one as an 8-ply and one as a 4-ply sock yarn, which one says that it is a 4-ply, but it's 100 grams and only 250 metres. Now if it's a 4-ply, if it's an Australian version of a 4-ply, 250 metres per 100 grams is not a 4-ply, because that sounds more like an 8-ply. Same again, yep, they're both 4-plies, or what she has claimed them to be as 4-plies, but only 250 metres per 100 grams kind of says that it's a more light 8-ply, being that my 8-plies have 225 to 233 metres per 100 grams, and these have 250, so it's either a very heavy 4-ply or a very light 8-ply. So yeah, but they are lovely colours. And they're nice and soft too. What is it? It's superwash merino and nylon. I did buy them with the idea of making something for Scarlett in them. I know it's a Milo May, and I did intend on making her a Milo for her size, being that she's pretty much grown out of the one that I made her a couple of winters ago now. So yeah, I really like them. They're nice and bright and fun and cute. And then I bought some Finch yarn, which is, what colour is this one called? It is called Scyther. It's nice, mauve. This was almost going to go on the Impressionist shawl too, but it missed out. Nice grey, mauvey grey, some dark plum through it, which is a merino, no, superwash wool and nylon. So there are all the yarns that I bought at Fibre Feast. I did get the new Impressionist interpretations, Hohi and Vera's interpretations book that they bring out each year. I got number 5, and there are quite a few yarns in there that I've, not yarns, garments in there that are talking to me and wanting to cast on. So yeah. Small shop update for Colagirl Collective coming. Actually, no, before I go, I did tell you guys about my uncle crocheting, being a crocheter that I visited at Christmas time. My mum's just come back from there and he sent me back this, which is a gorgeous little notions pouch in a new Bulgarian stitch that he's just taught himself. And see how he puts his nice classic vintage buttons on everything as well, because I'd said that he likes making cushions, and yeah, so that will be another little notions pouch for me. God, dog, you frightened me. Dog wants to come in. She's scratching at the door. She can come in a minute. So yeah. Now only a very small update. We'll go into Colagirl Collective when the weather clears a little and I can take some photos. I have a new colourway called this one. Now this one was, like I said, was tempted to go in the glare stop. No. With this blacks and greys. This is black and grey, and that mustard yellow with some green through it as well. It's a new wintry colourway. And then I went to go look in my book, my recipe book, to dye some more of Poppy up, and I hadn't written it down because this was the colour that I created for Fibre Feast. And I hadn't written it down. I thought, that's alright, it's still fresh in my mind, I'll be able to recreate it. And I thought I got it right, but the two colours I mixed together created this, which is not this at all. It's quite a more brighter corally red. So, which I thought, oh, okay, that's alright. I still quite like both of them. And yeah, so that one's called Red Baby, and it'll be on some lace weight in the shop soon. And this one's just in a 4-ply, is on the Swagman. I'll only have a couple of skeins of that. And then I did dye up some more self-striping. That's this one here. It's got navy blue, the mustard yellow, nice rusty red, and a mid brown. I was almost going to call it something to do with Game of Thrones because it reminded me of the Lannister gold and the Targaryen red, and then it kind of, I assumed that the Baratheon house was like browns and the Stark house were blues, but those colours aren't really anything. It wasn't really their colours, so I think it might get called winter, but I really like them. There'll be a couple of those as well, and that's pretty much it. I did dye up another colour, but it was a pale colour and there were some spots on it, so I'll have to do it again and they'll get made into socks for the family. I think that's about everything, just having a look that I have to tell you. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all my subscribers. Yeah, I appreciate you sending the love. You can find me on Instagram as Colagirl74. On Ravelry, I'm Colagirl. At the end of this, I always put the credits down of where you can find me. Etsy shop is Colagirl Collective AU at Etsy. I think that's the address for it. Again, it all goes in the credits. So thanks for watching. Have a good week, guys. See you next time. Enjoy your knitting. See ya.